Hi there. Today we're going to talk about a little known muscle called the TFL. TFL stands for Tensor Fascia Latae, and it is a muscle that can become tight and very problematic when we're talking about piriformis syndrome. So what we want to do is address how to calm down the TFL and get it loose so that hopefully you'll be able to cure that piriformis problem. First, I'm going to show you where it is located, and it starts right here at the hip region around the hip bone, and it travels down towards the side of your hip area, and it'll go to where your IT band is located. So it's not in the front, it's not directly on the side, but it's kind of diagonal. If you take your hands and just press, you're going to feel exactly where it is. So what we want to do, the first thing we want to do is loosen it up, inhibit it. So the best way to do that is to grab a ball, and I prefer the ball when trying to calm down the TFL than the foam roller because it gets a little deeper into that muscle and you can manipulate it a little bit better. The way we're going to do this is we're going to lie on the ball right there at that hip region, and I'm going to relax that leg. Relax it, don't let it be tight and stiff. This leg is up, and then I'm going to rotate forward a little bit. So see how I'm rotating? That's where the TFL is. So if I came just to the side, that would be more of your IT band. Coming forward a little bit, that's the TFL. Now you can roll forward and back if you want. It'll get it a little bit, but the best way to get it and inhibit it is to come forward, rotate, and then back. Rotate forward, and then back. And I also like, once you found it, just lay on it. Relax that leg and just lay on it. Think of your muscle just kind of falling over the ball, relaxing. That's really going to go a long way into calming down that muscle. And you may want to do this for several weeks until you find that it's becoming a little more loose. After that, we want to start stretching it, getting it even more loose. And there's two ways to do it, but the best way that I found is kind of a hip flexor stretch. So you're going to come on your knees. In a normal hip flexor stretch, you're just going to come forward like this, all right? But with this TFL stretch, we're going to bring that front leg a little more in front so it's a direct line to that back leg. And then I'm going to take that back foot and come forward this way a little bit, and then I'm going to pop that hip out. That's really the only way to stretch it. So just pop it out, hold it for about 15, 20 seconds, a couple times, and that should get it. Another way to do it is standing. Some people call this the IT band stretch. So if you don't feel like you're getting it with the kneeling stretch, you could do it standing. And if I'm trying to get the right side, I'm going to bring the left leg in front, I'm going to bring that leg behind, and bend that knee a little bit, and then again, pop it out. And everybody's different, but you really got to kind of play around with it. Maybe rotate your hips a little bit until you find it, and there it is. I can feel that good stretch. So those are the main two stretches you can do to loosen up that TFL. Once you've loosened up the TFL, something to do is to strengthen that hip region. A lot of times when you have tight hip flexors or a TFL, your hips are off a little bit. So if I have a tight right TFL, my hip might drop a little bit to the right. So imagine trying to run with a hip drop. It's just going to cause a lot of problems. So you want to do hip hikes. You can do these like this, just on the floor. And I would obviously recommend doing each side. Or you can use a bench to give you a little more range of motion. So I'm coming up here, drop it down, and then up. Drop it down, and then up. Now a hip hike, you notice that leg is mostly straight. It's not a bend. That knee is straight, you drop, and then hike it up. I would do 10 to 15 repetitions each side, maybe about 3 sets, and that's going to go a long way into strengthening that muscle. Another thing to remember when it comes to the TFL and hip flexor tightness is it may be affecting your posture. So if you've noticed that you have an anterior pelvic tilt, that could be an indicator as to why you're having problems with your piriformis and your hip flexors. All of those hip muscles, they all work together, and if one is more tight, it's going to cause problems and it's going to stop those glutes, your powerhouse, from working. And that's basically the crux of all of this. That's how we cure piriformis, is getting those glutes to start working again. If you've got these tiny little muscles that are doing all the work, it's not going to happen. So when that piriformis becomes tight and then the TFL jumps in to help, you've got all kinds of problems and you just want to fix it. You want to release it. So if you notice that you have an anterior pelvic tilt, that's an indicator that you could be tight. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So all you want to do is look into the mirror, and this would be straight posture, pretty normal. An anterior pelvic tilt is when your hips come forward. See, this is normal, hips are dropping. Normal, hips are dropping. So you notice when the hips are dropping, the pelvic is coming forward, I've got a curve in my back. So you want to get rid of that. The hip flexors and that TFL are pulling your hips forward. We want to get back into alignment, and the only way to do that is to start strengthening those glutes and calming these muscles down. So if you've noticed that you've been attacking the piriformis, it's not getting any better, you're doing all those exercises, I would suggest thinking about your TFL and just trying to inhibit it and stretch it and see if that doesn't help you. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.